Guggen Squad, Whopper Plopper, Square Bill Crankbait, Spinnerbait, Soft Plastics. But what does it all mean? I'm John Boat Jiraiya. Welcome back to another episode of Fish O'Clock. When I first started fishing 20 years ago, I had no idea what lures to use. I spent 2 decades wasting lots of time and money not catching fish. In an effort to learn more, I turned to social media for guidance. What I found was a lot of conflicting, opinionated advice, industry jargon, and confusing buzzwords. After spending decades wasting time and money on lures, I put all my information that I've learned in the last 2 decades together into this video, so hopefully you won't make the same mistakes that I did. My goal is to provide you with a comprehensive overview of lure selection, what lures to use, in what conditions, what time of day, and when. Hopefully by the end of this video, the next time you reach into your tackle box, you will have a renewed sense of confidence, knowing that the lure that you select is the perfect lure given the conditions that you're fishing in. But before we get into all that, I have some general guidance and some disclosures to cover.
It's Fish O'Clock.
Lures are a contentious and politicized topic in the fishing world. This video will avoid mentioning specific brands and comparing lures, focusing on general concepts and lure types instead. For this reason, I'll stick with the 5 basic lure types. They are as follows: soft plastics, hard plastics, spinnerbaits, jigs, and spoons. Recommended lures are based on the assumption that the viewer has intermediate to beginner level fishing skills. Actual lure selections should be made based on angler skill, gear, and experience. So now that we've covered the guidelines and disclosures, I'm now going to get into the lure selection process. Lure selection depends on 4 pieces of criteria: lake conditions, equipment, forage, and bass behavior, all of which are used to determine the best lure to use. Lake conditions can change from day to day and have a drastic impact on fishing. The fishing conditions can either be tough or optimal based on the weather. Looking at the chart, a tough condition might be something comprised of high water temp, low wind, clear water, and changing weather. On the opposite, an optimal day for fishing might be a moderate water temperature, moderate wind, moderate clarity, and stable weather. Probably most important is the bass behavior, so this is dictated by the lake conditions as stated before. Bass can be located on pieces of structure such as vegetation, rock piles, docks, ledges. They may also be feeding in the shallow, middle, or deep. However, most important though is if the bass are actively feeding or if they are inactive. That would really determine what lure you should use. Forage is just another fancy word for food. This is the whole purpose in fishing with a lure, is that you're trying to emulate the forage and trick the bass into thinking that it's eating a natural prey item, and it's actually not. Forage does depend on the lake that you're in, and bass are very opportunistic predators. They will eat anything from crawfish to frogs to lizards to bugs, worms, other fish, even other bass. When I was doing research on lure selection, I noticed that a lot of YouTube videos neglected to realize their audience's skill level and equipment. So I came up with this chart. These are personas, and there's 3 of them. Starting from the lowest skill level, and the least amount of equipment, is the bass seeker Milanakis. He's only got one pole. He's a shore fisherman, and he just started fishing maybe 6 months ago. So when it comes to selecting lures for this persona, versatility is key. Versatility meaning the ability to switch out lures and to use that lure on different pieces of structure and fishing in different depths. The next skill level moving up would be Bass Hunter Brenda. This would be someone with a few poles, maybe a kayak or a John boat. Maybe they've been fishing for 2 to 5 years. The lure selection for this persona would be the most enticing presentation. So they've got a few different poles that opens up different possibilities for them and certainly makes it better. And finally, I have here Bassmaster Jerry. So this video will not cover that persona. I don't have the expertise to speak on this, as I am not a Bassmaster, have not won any tournaments or anything. But this guy basically would have all the equipment, top of the line bass boat, the latest and greatest electronics. He's an expert. He's probably been fishing several decades. And for his lure, he's really going to be focusing on the best presentation because he's competing against other people. The lure that he chooses has to be the best one. So a lot of the YouTube videos are really based around this Bassmaster guy who has all this equipment and has this bass boat and competes in tournaments. But most people that are out on the internet looking for advice do not fall under that category. They are either a Brenda or a Milanakis. So for the rest of the video, I'll be referring to these personas, and in the following next few minutes, I'll go over some lure recommendations based on the personas as well as the conditions. Now, if we tie it all together, I put this chart together to help you guys decide what lure to select when fishing which piece of structure based on the conditions. So looking at the chart, you'll see that there's two sections of the table. There's the optimal conditions and the tough conditions. So if you were a beginner fishing on vegetation, the recommended lure during optimal conditions would be a hard plastic lure such as the topwater frog displayed on the table. On the opposite end, if you're a beginner fishing vegetation and it is tough conditions, the lure to select would be something like a watermelon red Senko. This is a soft plastic lure recommendation that I'm giving, but you can really use any of the soft plastics. If you look below, you'll see that I also have the intermediate person listed here. So you'll see that my lure selections differ greatly from the beginner. So with the intermediate fisherman, I'm going to recommend more crankbaits, more jigs, spoons, things of that nature. The reason I don't recommend those lures for beginners is that they tend to not be as versatile, and they also require more specialized equipment. So pitching a jig would require you to own a bait caster, would also require you to have a heavier line on your reel. It would also require you to have more experience. Same with the crankbaits. So with crankbaits, you have to have multiple different crankbaits that dive at different depths. So from shallow, mid, and deep. While as in a soft plastic lure, you can really rig it however you'd like, change the amount of weight that's on the line. You can fish it both shallow, mid, and deep. So that really makes it easy for me to recommend soft plastics to beginners. And then as an intermediate fisherman, that's when you really want to hone your skills and select the best lure that has the best presentation for that piece of structure. So I'll just pause there for a minute and give you guys a second to digest this chart. You can take a screenshot of it if you'd like and take it with you the next time you go fishing.
Okay, so now I've given you a quick selection guide on what lures to use and what conditions, and given the pieces of structure that you're fishing. So now the question comes up is, say you're a beginner and you're trying to fish shallow weeds, what soft plastic do I use? So I've got hundreds of different options here: stick baits, swim baits, creature baits. What lure do I pick and why? So there's a few different pieces of criteria that I use when I'm selecting my lures. The first is going to be forage, so the type of forage in the lake that you're in. If you don't know how to determine that, what you can do is you can go throw a cast net out, take inventory of all the different things that you catch, measure them either with a measuring stick, and take pictures of them, note the coloration of the pieces of forage, note the size. And when you get to the store, you can take those pictures with you, and what you try to do is match the lure to the forage. Okay, we're out at Inks Lake and I'm going to be doing a demo for you guys. I've selected a few lures based off of the conditions. Right now it's very, very hot outside. I would classify the conditions as being very tough. So with that being said, we're going to be focusing on fishing dock structures right now, and I'm going to be using soft plastics per the table that I provided you guys. So how I selected this particular soft plastic is, after throwing my cast net into the lake, I caught a large crawfish that was about 4 or 5 inches long. I found these at Walmart. They were not too expensive. This is called the hammer hog and it's sun perch colored. What I really liked about this lure in particular is that it mimics the crawfish. Looks just like a crawfish. Take it out of the package so you can see it. So that's really appealing to me. The second thing is the coloration on this. This is sun perch, so this isn't quite the exact color of the crawfish. This is more bluegill color. So I liked those, the bluegills that I caught with my cast net kind of matches some of this color. So we're gonna throw this onto the docks and see what we can get. Oh yeah. Yeah. No you don't. Yeah. That's a big one. That's a big one. Oh man. Oh shit, that's a big one. Woo! Holy cow. That's a nice one. Holy cow, that's big. Dude. Wow, that was quick. Wow. Beautiful bass, man. What a bass. I think I'm gonna get a weight on him. All right, that is, wow. No, that's in centimeters. Looks like he is 17. All right, guys, I keep seeing some really, really big fish right on top of this rock pile right here. So I'm definitely gonna see if I can get that shit. And I'm using my 1/16 ounce. Oh, I see something. Oh my God, did you just see that? Wow, there's definitely some activity right here. Oh, yeah, oh yeah, oh, Yeah, damn. Damn it. He got off. Yeah, damn. All right, so I'm gonna be fishing a ledge here. And right now it's really tough conditions. Very light wind, very, very hot outside. I'm gonna be using this, I believe it's a 1/4 ounce jigging spoon. The better spoon to use would be a flutter spoon in this case. I actually don't have one of those. But if you follow my lure guide, you could clearly see that this particular, in these conditions, fishing this piece of structure, this is the exact lure that you want to use. And just want to fish it slow. Just let it sink all the way to the bottom. Oh. Oh. Yeah. Yeah. Jesus. That was fast. Yep, not the species I wanted, but I'll take it. It's a nice little drum right here, a little freshwater drum. Damn, I got hooked fucking bad. Yes, fucking hooked. I'm just gonna have to. Damn. It's a good catch right there. Not what I wanted, but shit. Alright guys, that about wraps up this video. As a recap, I have 2 different tiers of lure recommendations. One for beginner, one for intermediate. Beginners, I recommend staying on soft plastics and having a variety of soft plastics to choose from. Creature baits, stick baits, swim baits, Senkos. Switching those lures out based off of the forage and the structure that you're fishing for a beginner is going to save you a lot of time. It's also going to improve the amount of fish that you catch. As an intermediate fisherman, my recommendations for the lures will help guide you and help you select the correct lure given the conditions. Thanks again for watching. Please remember to like and subscribe, and we'll see you guys on the next one.